Lebanon. Lebanon is running out of water pretty much. And, you know, I mean, this is part of a larger context that there were reports about a year ago. Middle East, parts of Middle East, including Lebanon, may not be livable in 20 years because in summers and summer, I think summer may have just summer. Sorry, we are at the end of summer actually, but the temperatures there are just so high, and the water shortage is crazy. And because of water shortage and because of the heat, you also have an energy crisis, and the energy crisis has led to, you know, lines for gasoline, uh, for gas. And one of the heads of the security forces, sort of, I don't know the exact translation, but I think it would be sort of a brigadier general or a general, Abbas Rahim, the head of public security of Lebanon, issued warning that we may see riots and potentially, you know, pretty much chaos on the streets of Lebanon everywhere. And, you know, what Lebanon is going through is not far off from what Afghanistan is going through, and what's a lot of other places. There was another explosion, you know, recently, I think, in Lebanon. And I'm just saying, yeah, the media seems to, that's why, like, the tragedy of Afghanistan is very tragic, but the fact that they, you know, they so selectively focus on it at the times that benefits them or benefits their funders, and they ignore everything else and all that. It's, by the way, I mean, I got the news from Al Jazeera. So again, they're not trying to hide anything. It's just they rely on humans' innate laziness and idiocy and all that. So I think, yeah, I suppose what I'm
Yeah.
saying is we have to be a bit more active, I suppose. And it's, yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
The whole Middle East is collapsing.
No, yeah, and I'm also actually reading, I think so we're talking about the same Al Jazeera article on water shortages, and you know they talk about UNICEF. Is it that one? How UNICEF is also
There was
reporting about
something
the
in it
waters,
about
yeah,
UNICEF as well.
about
I don't
water
remember. It
shortages,
was,
yeah. But yeah, this is very like dire article
yes.
on the situation of of Lebanon and them running out of pretty much electricity and water, as you're saying.
By the way,
But
Lebanon, a country next to fucking sea. I mean, you have. I mean, it's very expensive and it's very energy consuming technology. But at least, like, Saudi Arabia gets most of its water through
yeah,
sanitization. So, you know, there are possible solutions. Not that I think these solutions long term would work. I think my view is clear on what long term works. But
no, what would work long term in Lebanon? In Lebanon, with this country with a
everywhere,
tiny population.
like I think humanity needs to completely, there are habitats that are not humanly habitable anymore. I don't think it's fit for humans to live in, like, so, like, there are places that are just not fit for humans to live. And this emphasis and uh, this prejudice and thing we have, that we must live in a place where our fathers and
Yeah.
ancestors have lived.
No, that's true, but I mean that's different, I guess, the other population arguments that you would make in other times. But I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean,
Yeah,
you can't move
I
people to
yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
else. Nobody would agree. So
yeah.
yeah,
You
but
can, though. Nobody would agree. I agree with that, but you can move people.
and
It would
Lebanon
be
is
hard.
probably not one of the worst places still to live. I'm guessing if Lebanon was, you know, its resources and
It's a
everything was
failed.
managed
It's
better.
pretty much a
Yeah, I
failed
know, but I'm
state.
saying the environment is nowhere near. It's not a desert. like Saudi Arabia, as I
Oh,
understand.
sure,
So
yeah, it's not like an island in East Asia going underwater every day.
yeah.
So yeah,
So it's failed
for sure.
because of humans, right? Like Lebanon's a failed state, a lot because of
The
how
whole
it's met.
fucking planet is failed because of this cancer we call humans. But
True,
yeah,
true. But I mean, you mean like, I mean,
yeah,
directly, not through like, I guess not through like, climate change or
yeah,
environment directly,
no,
like
no. But
really
look,
direct
but even
mismanagement or
the hard place, the places where I say that are not habitable for humans, are habitable for very few humans. They're just not habitable for the number of humans that are habiting them right now.
I mean, they're habitable at the
And
expense. I mean, because you can, if you have the money, for instance, Saudi Arabia makes it habitable for a big portion of its population through exactly the stuff that Lebanon can't even provide for a small population, even though it needs less. But then, of course, there's emissions and energy consumption and
exactly,
environmental damage
that's
associated
my point.
with that.
That's
But
my point. And then look, you may say, all right, so the depopulation is not the solution. The solution is to move people to the places where you don't have to spend as much energy. But try that, and that's pretty much as hard, or that may end up being depopulation in many ways. That's in many ways population transfer ends up becoming genocide and all that shit. So whatever you do, you end up with a very, very dark answer. So good luck
I
to
see. And then
humanity.
just I'm going back a bit to your broadcast versus print media. I mean, it is true that like the cable news channels and stuff compared to what you
Yahoo
read on
News is
print.
not print media.
Huh?
Yahoo News is my dad's like
Yeah, but they
homepage.
show AP
Jesus
and Reuters
Christ.
and all this. And saying if you go, Chomsky has said this a million times, if you read newspapers, you get a much better idea of the world than if you watch like CNN and MSNBC and CNBC, where you totally don't see anything and you're ex-
I don't.
you're even
It's
more
slightly.
confused.
I would say it's slightly better. Again, you could watch PBS. You could watch loads of goodest. There has
Yeah, they're
always
a little
been good
bit better.
channels. I don't know. And New York Times, Washington Post, those are fucking print and
Yeah,
respected print, and they suck. They really suck. Like genuinely, like
no, that's
track
true.
record of
But maybe
getting everything
AP
wrong.
and Reuters, you kind of read
AP
them,
and
I guess.
Reuters are not. AP and Reuters are
Yeah,
news
yeah, that's
agencies.
true.
They don't write
No, no, fair enough.
articles like
Yeah.
bullshit
Well, they
opinion
write news
pieces
articles.
about
Well, the New York
on
Times is
what
is
was the
supposed to
what was
also write news articles. I mean, they're not a news
sure.
agency, but like their front page and all their segments is supposed to be news articles. Some where they got information from AP or Reuters, but some which they got themselves.
Yeah, and
But yeah, just
yeah,
like I'm
same. And
guessing,
in
like you.
90s I used to play for Chicago Bulls. It was fantastic.
But yeah, I'm saying
Me,
it's not
Jordan.
hidden. My only point was like you're saying the news is not like the information is not hidden, but it's just
No, no,
what
no,
they
no.
put on
That's why.
TV. It's very
That's why.
different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, while like those guys are dicks and like those
Mhm.
institutions are shit, but at the same time, humans are worse, and the responsibility pretty much lies with most of us because it's just so easy and so just Google like crimes, for example, war crimes. They don't even try to hide them anymore. Everything is out there and nobody cares. So yeah, that's sad. But at the same time though, I think maybe the reason why nobody cares is that because every news we get is so even the news that is worth something is given to us by people who are so motivated by their own vested interest that you after a while just completely lose interest in anything and all things.
Yeah.
Because why Lebanon is not being covered at all, and Afghanistan after a year of not being covered while negotiations were going on with Taliban leaders, while all Taliban leaders are being freed from prisons, nobody
Yeah.
covered that. And
And even terrorism
at
was
least, but
happening. Even
nobody
even
covered that.
yeah, yeah. But much
Again,
less.
I'm just yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
again, yeah. I'm just such a conflicted person myself, I suppose.
but okay, let's return back to some quote unquote hardcore news if you want. Do you want to continue with, I guess, Iran?
Sure. Yeah, that's, I mean,